Hello, chosen ones. This message is for you, the soul who has walked through the shadows, the heart that has been overlooked, and the spirit that has endured silence when all you wanted was to be seen. There were moments in your life when you felt invisible, like a ghost walking among the living. You showed up for people who would never show up for you. You gave love, but in return, you were met with coldness. You offered kindness, yet your kindness was treated like weakness. You carried light, but instead of being embraced, your light was ignored, dimmed, and sometimes even mocked. You remember those days. The conversations where your voice was drowned out, as if your words carried no meaning. The gatherings where your presence felt more like absence to the very people you valued most. The quiet nights when you wondered, why do they not see me? Why do they treat me like I don't exist? But listen closely, chosen one. That season of invisibility was not punishment, it was preparation. God allowed them to overlook you, not because you had no value, but because your value was too high for them to comprehend. You were hidden for a reason. Heaven was keeping you out of sight, protecting you from those who would mishandle your soul, guarding you from those who were never meant to walk with you into the destiny that awaits. And here's the truth. The same people who ignored your worth, who dismissed your presence, who thought you were insignificant, will one day realize you are the very person they cannot live without. They will need you, because God is about to place something in your life that cannot be denied, something that forces even your enemies to acknowledge the greatness within you. Stay with me, because in a moment, I'm going to show you why you were hidden, why they ignored you, and how everything is about to shift in your favor. Every chosen one knows the feeling of being placed in a hidden stage of life. It is the season when the spotlight is turned away from you, when your name is rarely mentioned, and when the recognition you truly deserve seems delayed. At first glance, it may look like rejection, but in reality, it is heaven's greatest form of protection. When you are chosen, you are separated. Separation is never easy because it feels like abandonment. You look around and wonder why no one is there to support you. You wonder why people walk past you without noticing the greatness within you. And yet, this very stage of invisibility is where God refines you, chisels you, and prepares you for the platform that is coming. The hidden stage is sacred. It is not a punishment, it is a sanctuary. This is the place where distractions are stripped away, where voices that once clouded your mind go silent, and where you learn to hear the whisper of God louder than the noise of the world. Many resist this stage because it feels lonely. But loneliness is not always the absence of people. It is often the presence of transformation. Think about it. Seeds are always planted underground, unseen by the world, covered in dirt, and pressed down by weight. But what looks like burial is actually preparation for breakthrough. You are not being buried, you are being planted. That's why the hidden stage feels heavy, because the weight of the soil is pressing you into your true identity. You are being nurtured in obscurity, so that when you finally emerge, your roots are unshakable. During this hidden stage, God protects you from premature exposure. If you had been recognized too soon, you would have been celebrated by the wrong crowd, used by the wrong people, and drained by those who only sought to benefit from your light. By allowing you to be overlooked, heaven was shielding your destiny from being contaminated. Only certain people are meant to witness your rise, and only at the right time. Every tear you cried when you felt invisible was watering the soil of your destiny. Every moment of silence you endured was building your inner strength. Every door that shut in your face was a redirection, keeping you from rooms you were never meant to enter. You may have felt forgotten, but in truth, you were being preserved. The hidden stage is also the place where you learn discipline and resilience. Nobody claps for you here. Nobody validates you. Nobody tells you you're doing well. And yet, you keep going. You keep showing up. You keep building in the shadows. This is where the chosen ones prove themselves, not to the world, but to heaven. You show God that even without applause, you are faithful. Even without recognition, you are consistent. Even without support, you remain unshaken. And here is what makes this stage so powerful. The same people who once ignored you during this hidden period will be the very ones to witness your rise. They will remember the times they dismissed you. They will recall the seasons when they overlooked you. But by then, it will be too late for them to deny the truth, because your light will be shining too brightly. So if you are in that hidden stage right now, do not despise it. Do not mistake it for failure. This is the sacred ground where chosen ones are formed. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. You are not invisible. You are being protected. And very soon, the silence around you will break, the shadows will lift, and the light within you will rise so high that the very people who overlooked you will have no choice but to see you. They did not ignore you because you were unworthy. They ignored you because your presence made them confront truths they were not ready to face. Your very existence carried a mirror, reflecting back to them the emptiness they tried to hide. Every time you walked into a room, your light revealed their shadows. Every time you spoke with sincerity, their shallow masks began to crack. It was not that you lacked value. It was that your value exposed their lack. And instead of leaning towards you, they chose to turn away. Understand this. The chosen are rarely ignored because they are small. They are ignored because they are big in a world where many people are still thinking small. Your vision was too wide for their narrow perspective. Your depth was too heavy for their shallow conversations. Your dreams threatened the comfort of their mediocrity. To embrace you would mean they had to stretch themselves, grow, and face their own fears. And most people are not ready for that kind of growth. So they silenced you, not because you were wrong, but because your truth was too loud for their comfort. Think back. Remember the times when you offered kindness and it was brushed off as if it had no meaning. Remember when you gave your support but received no acknowledgement in return. That was not a sign that you had nothing to give. It was a sign that they were not equipped to receive. Not everyone can handle pure love, pure loyalty, pure authenticity. Many have grown accustomed to counterfeit relationships, shallow gestures, and conditional acceptance. When they encounter the real, it feels overwhelming. So they run, so they dismiss, so they ignore. But ignoring you was never really about you. It was about them. They ignored you because you carried a spirit of excellence in an environment that celebrated average. You carried a light in spaces that were addicted to darkness. You carried a frequency of truth in rooms that were built on lies. And when light enters darkness, it forces a choice. Either adjust to the brightness or flee from it. Most chose to flee. That is why they walked away from you, why they couldn't look you in the eyes, why they tried to downplay your presence. And yet, let me remind you, rejection is never the end of the story. Rejection is redirection. Every time someone looked past you, heaven was redirecting your path. Every cold shoulder was God whispering, "Not here, not them, not this." Every ignored word was a clue. You are not supposed to waste your voice in this place. You are being moved away from what could not hold you, into the spaces where your voice will echo with impact. They ignored you because they could not control you. They sensed that you were not built to follow their script. They realized that you could not be manipulated, could not be boxed in, could not be reduced. And for people who thrive on control, the presence of someone who walks in freedom is terrifying. Your independence was seen as rebellion. Your clarity was mistaken for arrogance. Your courage was misinterpreted as threat. But the truth is, what they called arrogance was simply confidence in who God made you to be. What they saw as rebellion was your refusal to bow down to lies. What they labeled as threat was your silent reminder that chains can be broken, and they weren't ready to face that. Let's be honest, it hurt, didn't it? To be overlooked, to be made to feel invisible, to give your all and get silence in return. It wounded your spirit at times, but here is the mystery of being chosen. The very pain of being ignored became your teacher. It built resilience inside of you. It forced you to learn how to validate yourself when no one else would. It trained you to rely on God as your only source of approval. And because of that, you now carry a strength that no applause could ever give. You no longer depend on being seen because you have learned the art of moving in silence, guided by divine purpose. They ignored you because your spirit disturbed their demons. When you walked into their lives, the lies they had been telling themselves suddenly felt shaky. The masks they wore began to feel heavy. The double lives they lived became harder to sustain. And instead of facing those demons, they pushed you away. They overlooked you because acknowledging you meant confronting themselves, and they were not ready. This is why you cannot take their rejection personally. The same people who ignored you are fighting wars within themselves that you cannot see. They were intimidated not by your words, but by your presence. They were threatened not by your actions, but by your essence. You reminded them of the greatness they gave up on. You reminded them of the courage they abandoned. You reminded them of the dreams they buried. And rather than admit that they let fear win, they chose to treat you as if you were insignificant. But listen closely. What they ignored, God is amplifying. What they dismissed, heaven is exalting. Your value does not decrease because someone failed to recognize it. Diamonds remain diamonds, even in the dirt. Gold remains gold, even if hidden in the ground. And you, chosen one, have always been precious, whether they saw it or not. One day, those same people will look back and realize the weight of what they overlooked. They will remember how you showed up, how you gave without asking, how you stood strong when others crumbled. And in that moment, the guilt of ignoring you will weigh heavily on them. But by then, you will have already risen. By then, your light will be shining in places they cannot reach. By then, they will not just remember you, they will need you. So take heart. Their ignorance was not the final word. Their silence was not your ending. They ignored you, yes, but heaven heard you, and heaven's recognition is far greater than any human applause. Chosen one, the winds are changing around you, even if you cannot see it fully yet. For years you walked through seasons where silence was your only companion. You gave, but it was ignored. You spoke, but your words seemed to dissolve into nothing. You stood in rooms where no one acknowledged your presence, and you carried dreams in your heart that no one cared to hear. That season is not wasted. It was a seed time. And now, the soil is beginning to break, and what was buried is rising. The shift is already in motion. The very same voices that once dismissed you will find themselves speaking your name with reverence. The ones who treated your presence like it had no weight will be forced to acknowledge that the very ground they walk on is being shaped by the seeds you planted in silence. Those who pretended not to see you will not be able to take their eyes off you. What was once hidden in shadows is being pulled into the light, and this time, no one will be able to deny what heaven has already ordained. This shift is not man-made. It is not something you engineered by your own strength. It is divine. Doors are opening that you never knocked on. Opportunities are finding you in ways you never strategized for. Relationships are being realigned. Pathways are unfolding where before there was only a wall. This is what happens when heaven says, "Now is the time." No man can stop it, no enemy can block it, no critic can cancel it. When God elevates, He does it in such a way that even your enemies must bear witness. Pay close attention. The ones who once overlooked you will soon realize that you carry the very solutions they need. The same people who thought you were empty will discover you were overflowing all along. They will see that your silence was not weakness, but preparation. They will realize that the pain you endured was secretly building wisdom inside of you. Wisdom they do not have, but will desperately need. And here's the truth. Many of them will not come to you out of admiration, but out of necessity. Life has a way of humbling people. Storms will come that strip away false securities. Crises will arise that money cannot fix. Emptiness will grow in places where superficial success once lived. And in that hour, they will remember the one they ignored. They will remember the one whose words they brushed aside. They will remember the one who carried peace while everyone else carried chaos. And they will return, not because you begged for their presence, but because their survival depends on what God has placed inside you. The shift is not just external, it is also happening within you. The rejection that once broke you now fuels your strength. The silence that once hurt you now protects your focus. The loneliness that once hollowed you out has become the very space where heaven fills you with wisdom and power. You are not who you were when they ignored you. You have been refined by fire, sharpened by trial, strengthened by struggle. The shift is not only that they will need you, the greater shift is that you will be ready when they come. And do not mistake this. When the shift manifests, it will not be subtle. It will not be something they can brush off or downplay. The difference in your life will be undeniable. Where there was lack, there will be overflow. Where there was silence, there will be influence. Where there was invisibility, there will be visibility. And this visibility is not for vanity, it is for impact. The platform God is giving you is not about applause, it is about purpose. You are being positioned to carry answers, to speak truth, to guide lives, to break chains. This is why you had to be hidden for so long. If you had been elevated too early, you would have been drained by those who only saw you as a resource. If your gifts had been displayed too soon, you would have been used by people who were never meant to have access to your soul. But now, after being tried, tested, and tempered, you are stepping into a place where no counterfeit hand can control you. The shift is proof that you have been approved by heaven, not man. Remember, chosen one. When God decides to showcase His people, He does it in such a way that even the blind cannot deny it. Even those who laughed at you will be silenced. Even those who mocked you will be stunned. The same mouths that once gossiped about you will be the ones to spread the news of your rise. The shift ensures that tables are turning. The ignored becomes the sought after. The forgotten becomes the essential. The underestimated becomes the cornerstone. And yet, this shift is not about revenge. It is not about proving them wrong. It is about proving God right. It is about showing the world that what He places inside a person cannot be erased by human rejection. The elevation you are stepping into is not just for your benefit. It is for every soul that will be healed, inspired, and awakened through your story. The people who need you are not only those who ignored you, they are also those who have never met you, but are waiting for the light you carry. So stand tall. The shift is here. You may not see the full picture yet, but trust that the gears of heaven are moving on your behalf. You are being ushered into a new season where your voice carries weight, your presence commands respect, and your purpose finds its stage. The ones who ignored you will soon realize that the very blessing they dismissed is the blessing they now cannot live without. Chosen one, you carry a truth inside you that no rejection, no betrayal, no silence could ever erase. Long before people ignored you, heaven had already stamped its approval on your soul. Long before they dismissed your voice, God had already written your name into the story of destiny. That is why you have survived what others could not. That is why you are still standing when so many around you fell apart. You are not ordinary. Nothing about your journey, your survival, or your spirit has ever been ordinary. Think back for a moment. Every storm you endured should have broken you. Every loss you faced should have left you empty. Every night you cried should have hardened your heart. But it didn't. Instead, those storms shaped you. The losses carved wisdom into your soul. The tears watered seeds of compassion within you. The silence built resilience that cannot be bought, taught, or stolen. You became someone unshakable not because life was easy, but because life was brutal, and yet you refused to collapse. Do you realize how rare that is? Most people crumble when pressure comes. They compromise their values to fit in. They bend their truth to be accepted. They lose themselves just to be noticed. But you chose a harder road. You endured being overlooked instead of selling your soul for attention. You embraced loneliness rather than betraying your own spirit just to belong. You carried your pain with dignity, refusing to let bitterness define you. That is why you are set apart. That is why heaven calls you chosen. And while they ignored you, heaven was watching. Not one act of kindness went unnoticed. Not one sacrifice slipped past God's eyes. Every time you helped someone who could give you nothing in return, heaven recorded it. Every moment you forgave when you had the right to hate, heaven recorded it. Every time you chose patience over anger, compassion over pride, faith over fear, heaven recorded it. The world may not have applauded you, but heaven was building a record that no man can erase. This is why your truth is unshakable, because it was never built on human approval. It was never dependent on applause, titles, or recognition. Your truth was forged in the fire of trials and sealed by the hand of God. And when God seals something, it cannot be broken. No lie can cancel it. No slander can touch it. No betrayal can undo it. What is placed inside of you is eternal. And let me tell you, chosen one, that truth is beginning to reveal itself in ways you cannot even imagine yet. The wisdom you carry is not common wisdom. It comes from pain transformed into perspective. The strength in you is not ordinary strength. It comes from endurance that others never witnessed. The compassion you give is not shallow. It comes from knowing what it feels like to be unseen, unwanted, and overlooked, and choosing to love anyway. That is why when people finally hear your voice, it will cut through the noise of this world like a sword. That is why when they stand in your presence, they will feel peace they could not buy anywhere else. That is why when they come to you for help, they will sense that what you carry is not of man, but of heaven. Understand this clearly. The world measures worth by status, wealth, and attention. But heaven measures worth by endurance, integrity, and faith. That is why people misjudged you. They could not understand your value because they were using the wrong scale. They were looking for surface-level success while you were being built for something eternal. They were looking at appearances while God was shaping your essence. They were counting numbers while God was preparing you to move nations. And here is the most powerful truth about you. You are not defined by who ignored you, but by who sustained you. Every step you took in darkness was guided by a hand greater than your own. Every door that closed was a redirection to something higher. Every betrayal was a pruning, cutting away what could not go with you into your destiny. You are not the person they walked away from. You are the person who rose stronger because of it. This is why your truth cannot be shaken, because it is not built on sand, it is built on stone. The stone of divine approval, the stone of survival, the stone of authenticity. While others built their lives on applause, you built yours on perseverance. While others built on validation, you built on solitude with God. And when the storms come, and they will come, everything built on sand will collapse. But you will remain standing, because your foundation is not man-made, it is heaven-made. Chosen one, recognize who you are. You are the evidence that survival is possible. You are the proof that broken people can be healed. You are the living testimony that rejection can be transformed into redirection, that silence can be turned into strength, that invisibility can give birth to influence. That is why the truth about you is unshakable, because it was never about them, it was always about Him, and soon the world will see what heaven has always known. Life always has a way of balancing itself. What was once upside down will eventually be turned right side up. The pain you endured in silence is about to become the testimony that others cannot ignore. The very stone that the builders rejected, the one they thought had no place in their structure, becomes the cornerstone that holds everything together. That stone is you. That role belongs to you. The seasons of being disregarded were not wasted. Every time someone overlooked you, God was writing a story. Every time they doubted you, heaven was making note of it. Every time they whispered that you were not enough, heaven smiled, because it already knew that in time they would eat those words. And that time is coming sooner than they expect. Those who mocked you in secret will have to watch you shine in public. They will see your strength, not because you forced it upon them, but because God Himself raised you higher. The ones who dismissed you as weak will have to admit that you are stronger than they ever imagined. The people who thought you would never rise will one day realize you were destined to soar all along. This is the turning of the tables. Do not think for a moment that your journey was random. Everything you went through had purpose. The betrayals, the loneliness, the isolation, they were part of the molding. The fire that tried to burn you was the very fire that refined you. Now when people look at you, they will see resilience written on your face. They will see wisdom in your eyes. They will feel the authority in your voice. And whether they admit it or not, they will know you are not the same person they once ignored. The ones who pushed you aside will soon regret it. They thought your silence was weakness, but your silence was strategy. They thought your patience was passivity, but your patience was preparation. They thought your quietness meant you had nothing to offer, but your quietness was the ground where God planted something eternal. Now the roots have grown deep, and the tree of your life is about to bear fruit so visible, no one will be able to deny it. And here is the mystery. Chosen one. The very people who rejected you will be positioned to witness your rise. It will not be hidden. It will not be private. God will make sure that those who mocked you in darkness will see your elevation in the light. They will have no choice but to recognize the greatness in you, because your life will testify louder than words ever could. Imagine this. The same voices that once said you would fail will be the ones to spread the news of your success. The same people who tried to bury your name will be forced to speak it with respect. The same ones who claimed you had no value will one day stand in awe at how much value you carry. They may not clap, they may not cheer, but they will not be able to deny it. Your very existence will be the proof that God is real, that destiny cannot be stopped, that chosen souls cannot be ignored forever. But here's the deeper truth. Your rise is not just about proving them wrong. It's about proving God right. The elevation in your life is not simply for your vindication, it's for His glorification. When people see how far you've come, they will realize it was never by your strength alone. They will have to acknowledge that something divine, something beyond human, was guiding and protecting you. This is why you must not carry bitterness. This is why you must not waste time seeking revenge. because the tables are turning in a way that no revenge could ever match. God's vindication is always greater than human retaliation. When He lifts you, He does it in such a way that even your enemies cannot deny it. He makes sure your elevation is undeniable, unshakable, unstoppable. And when the storms hit their lives, when their own foundations begin to crack, they will remember you. They will remember the one they ignored, the one they overlooked, the one they underestimated. And in that moment, they will realize that you are carrying answers, wisdom, and solutions that no one else can provide. They will come to you, not because you begged for their attention, but because God has placed in you something they cannot live without. The turning of the tables is not just about position. It is about purpose. You were chosen not to simply rise, but to carry light into dark places. And when they come back, when the very ones who disregarded you now come seeking your help, you will have the strength, the wisdom, and the grace to stand tall. Chosen one, understand this clearly. Your story is not ending in rejection. Your story is ending in revelation. The revelation of who you truly are. The revelation of why you had to walk through so much. The revelation of why God kept you hidden until now. You are stepping into a chapter where everything that once worked against you will start working for you. The outcast becomes the leader. The rejected becomes the cornerstone. The overlooked becomes the sought after. This is the pattern of heaven. This is the rhythm of destiny. And this, chosen one, is your reality now. So hold your head high, chosen one. Do not be bitter about who ignored you. Do not waste time seeking revenge. The truth is, they were never rejecting you. They were rejecting the greatness inside you that they could not understand. Now, everything is shifting in your favor. The same people who ignored you will soon need you. Not because you begged for their attention, but because God Himself has elevated you beyond their reach. This is your time. This is your season. Walk boldly, walk faithfully, walk with your head lifted. You are chosen, and nothing, no demon, no enemy, no betrayal can change that.